Good afternoon, I'm Richard, I'm at Central St Giles in London. I'm going to show you how to make perfect macaroons. So we've weighed out our ingredients here. We have 110 grams of egg white, which is roughly 3 large eggs. We have 75 grams of caster sugar, 125 grams of ground almonds, and 175 grams of icing sugar. What we're going to do first is pass our dry ingredients through a sieve. I've already done the ground almonds, so I'm just going to do the icing sugar now. This helps create some air within the ingredients, which obviously we'll need to sort of create our meringue mix for the macaroons. So I'm now sieving my icing sugar, which is going to go together with my almonds, which I've just ground. This will later be folded into the meringue mix. For the domestic kitchen, your sieve looks very much different from this one, but it does the same job. Okay. Okay, now we're going to take our egg white and our caster sugar and we're going to create our meringue mix. So we're going to whisk our egg whites in our food mixing machine until we have soft peaks formed in the bowl. Once we've done that, we're going to add half of our sugar, which will start the meringue mix. After a few minutes of mixing, we'll add the remaining sugar and carry on until we've got glossy peaks. So we're going to put the egg whites in. So put the guard back on. Always make sure you put the guard on. Raise this up. And we're going to start that until we have soft peaks forming in the egg. So we're now going to put half of our caster sugar in. And leave that going for a couple of minutes until it forms nice, firm, glossy peaks. As you can see, it's starting to form nice peaks in there. And now we're going to put the rest of our sugar into the meringue mix. As you can see, it's starting to form nice peaks. So as you can see, I'm going to bring this down just so you can have a look. It's not quite there yet, it's still a little bit under. That should be a lot more glossy than it is currently. Going for a couple of minutes now, you can start to see the glossiness of it. Just drop this down so you can have a look. Lovely and glossy. So, I'm going to take this off. So we're going to take this out, remove all of these bits. Put it there for the moment. And we're going to put this into our bowl. Now you don't want to be too harsh with this because you don't want to lose all the nice air that was in there. So we're going to mix in our ground almonds and icing sugar that we sieved earlier. And we take our spatula and carefully fold it round, incorporating all the dry elements into the meringue mix. All the time making sure we don't break up the egg mix. You fold it in so you're being very gentle with it. You don't want to bash out all the air from the egg. You want to make sure you nicely incorporate everything in. Continue to fold in the dry mixture. It's possible to over mix this, so you don't want to do that, otherwise the mixture gets too wet. What you should have is that it falls off the spatula nicely. That's not quite enough, it's still a bit grainy, needs some more work. When you pipe it out, you want it to form nice circles, but you want to keep the sort of a dome top to it. You don't want it to spread too much and run all over your baking tray. But at the same time you want to make sure all your almond and icing sugar is mixed in. So next we're going to take our mix, we're going to put it in our piping bag. Just going to cut the end. So now we're going to fill our piping bag with the mixture. You don't want to cut the end off just yet, otherwise it's all going to come out. Some people find it really difficult to fill a piping bag, so what we're going to do is just drop that in there, into a jug. For this mix you don't need a huge piping bag, so you can just do that. All the time making sure you're not bashing the mixture and taking the air out of it, because you want these to rise up and be really nice and light. Okay, so then you take your piping bag out of here. You just go like that to make sure you've got everything down the bottom. Don't need the jug anymore. Give that a little twist. And then we can cut the end off. Now, you don't want too much of a hole, too big a hole, otherwise your macaroons will just, spread. And then you keep twisting that until you just get it to the end. Making nice white macaroons, but what you can do, through folding in your dry mixture right into the meringue mix, you can add some food colouring to give a different colour. You can also put a little bit of flavouring in there, just to give it a little bit extra. Over here is where we're going to pipe our macaroon mixture onto. What I've also done, just to help you a little bit, is I've created some rings on here which you can put underneath your baking silicone. Silicone's really important because it helps the macaroon mix to not stick. So you can just see that through there. If you don't have silicone, you could use some baking paper, baking parchment, which will also have a similar effect. So, you keep your piping bag upright until you're ready. And you have it upright and you just and do a little twist on top. as you can see, they're holding their shape really nicely. Every now and again you want to give it another twist just to make sure the piping bag's tight. Obviously also at this stage it's worth noting you want a nice even number because you have 2 bits of macaroon mix per macaroon. What we're going to do now, when you see macaroons, they've got a nice smooth dome on top. We're going to bash this once just to get rid of the peaks, and then we're going to leave that for about half an hour just to create a nice crust on top before we put them in the oven. We've let these rest for about half an hour. You can see, they're just starting to form a nice crust on them. They're ready to go into the oven. So, preheat the oven to 140 degrees. Going to put our macaroons inside. Then we're going to drop this down to about 120. If you have it on too high, the crusts are going to start forming a bit of colour from the heat of the oven. They've been in the oven for about 15 minutes. We are now going to take them out. Leave them to cool right down. As you can see, they should be nice and glossy on top. They've risen a little bit, obviously depending on the oven as to how even they rise. But as you can see, they're all separate. If the mix was too runny, they'd have all joined together and we'd have had squares. Our macaroons have cooled down. We've got to be very delicate with these now. So we'll try and lift these up. Actually, what I'm going to do first, you can have any flavour you like of macaroons. What I'm going to do is just put some praline ganache in the middle. Praline cream. You can do strawberry, you could do orange, you could do vanilla, any flavour you like. And obviously you can colour the macaroons, as I said earlier, with food colouring. So, let me just cut the end off of that. So, take our first macaroon. Oh, it comes off very nicely, look at that. A little bit of cream around the outside. Take our next one. Take our next one like this. The idea with this is try to get 2 halves that look very much the same sort of size. And there we go. Praline cream scented macaroons. There we go.